Vintage Aaron Rodgers performance. Are you happy now? Talking sports. 27 for 35, 281 yards, 2 touchdowns. Here's Rodgers postgame.
I'm proud of our guys. You know, we've been improving, but it hasn't been good enough for some people outside the room. So to have a performance like tonight, I don't know how many yards we finished with, but it feels really good. It's expectations. If the expectation is winning, then we're going to celebrate it, but we should expect to win. The next step is expecting to dominate.
Oh my God.
I loved it. What's wrong with
This was we were 19 yards away from this being
That's
the
one or the other.
That's your only saving grace. Wow.
and I mean, he had it.
He could have gotten it easy.
His worst throw of the night.
Exactly.
His worst throw. No, his worst throw of the
was
night.
a bad
But go
throw.
ahead, say what you wanted
If
to
he
say.
had got,
here.
that would have been.
He was mediocre the first 2 weeks, and then you go up against a.
Mediocre?
No, the
Yeah,
first 2 weeks.
First 2 weeks.
Yes, he was mediocre. I
171
agree with that.
mediocre.
Yeah. But last night he was great. Let's not argue about
Last
the first
night
2
he was
weeks.
awesome.
Yeah.
Last night he was moving around. He was throwing the ball.
Yeah.
He was staring at the camera. He looked like classic Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
So how dangerous are the Jets with this version of Aaron Rodgers?
I want to be fair because it wasn't just the numbers. It was also the eye test. He was out of the pocket.
Yeah.
He was moving around. And as I said after week 1, he's always going to throw a pretty ball, and he's always going to be super accurate. Yep. The question is, can he do the other things requisite to play football when there's a defense on the field? And last night he could. Now, everything that I saw yesterday is not clouded, but colored by the fact that I don't think the Patriots are good at anything. At anything. I think they have one great defensive player, Christian Gonzalez. I think that they are going to end the year an average defensive team and a wretched offensive team. I thought that before the year. I, unlike some other people, was not mystified by week 1. I thought it was a fluky performance. And I think that this was the Jets' easiest game on their schedule, a game they absolutely had to win, and they did. So that part I don't give them extra credit for. I do give them extra credit for 2 specific things. One is, Brew, what we just talked about, how good Rodgers looked in the aggregate and on a play-to-play basis. And the other one was, if you guys remember, all offseason I criticized the Jets fairly for a lot of things. There was one thing I said that was an adult decision, and that was resisting the urge at drafting 10, they ended up drafting 11, taking Brock Bowers, who, by the way, has been awesome for the Raiders and is always advertised. They needed a tight end, another weapon, and instead drafting a tackle who you knew wouldn't even start if all things went well in Olu Fashanu. And what did we see last night? Of their 2 tackles, the one that's the sturdiest gets rolled up on because that happens, and you have a guy that you can plug in. Last night it wouldn't have mattered either way because it was late enough in the game, but it could matter moving forward. So I give them real credit because had they not done that, yesterday could have been a Pyrrhic victory, like, okay, we get the win, but now our offensive line is in shambles. It's not. I still don't think they're a great team because I don't think Rodgers can play like that on a week-to-week basis.
Well, that's the question, because obviously he was fantastic. That was vintage Aaron Rodgers.
Yes.
Quick release, mobile, throwing it well when he was running, hitting guys in stride so they could run after the catch. Guys were great running after the catch last night. I mean, it was beautiful. But you're right. Like, if you look back at his last year in Green Bay, he had a couple of really nice games. I think, didn't they beat Dallas late? Like, he had a really...
That was yes.
Yeah, he had a few really nice kind of vintage Aaron Rodgers games, but you're right, he couldn't do it consistently. So that is the question for the Jets.
That Dallas game was the last time he went over 100 passer rating before last night.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So he's got to do it consistently. Unlike you, Nick, I did have respect, and you were right, it was a blowout. I didn't think it'd be a blowout. I thought the Jets would win. But I have respect, and I still do for that defense. So I thought it was more impressive. They had given up, 130 yards rushing.
I know, but Bentley was the defense did not look like.
Yeah, but I think you got to give the Jets some credit for that they did. And then the Jets, now I know New England's offense, even in the wins, we knew it wasn't good. But the Jets got 7 sacks. You know, they did some better things defensively, so they're improving. For me, this is, and I'm not even trying to be, this is what I thought they were. I still feel like, yes, with this type of Aaron Rodgers or even a little bit less, they win the AFC East, get to the playoffs, and are a dangerous team. You guys know the issue I have with Rodgers. I don't care how great he looks, 16-1, and he's the MVP. I still will wonder if they were to get to the AFC Championship game, how's he going to play? Because he's had 5 championship games and been bad in every one. Even the one he won, he wasn't very good. So I would question that. But, yeah, this is a playoff team. I think they win the division, and there'll be something to deal with in the postseason.
I had 3 things. The mobility, which you touched on, he ran 3 times for 18 yards. Just in comparison, Ramondre had 24 yards and Aaron Rodgers is 18. And he was getting tackled. He got tackled out of bounds. Yeah. He was really getting hit.
And he was throwing on the move.
Yeah.
The mobility, I wasn't even talking about his actual scrambles. It was the extending plays.
Yep.
He also took a cheap shot from Uche by the sideline. It was a totally cheap shot. He got up, he took it, he felt okay. And then, and this was mentioned on the broadcast, and again, it's very fuzzy, but on the King of Vibes, he's locked in. He looks a little Brady-esque, where like, I'm here, I see everything, I have it all down, I'm not going to give this game away, there's nothing you guys can do to trick me. Well, that extra level of Aaron Rodgers that the Jets signed up for was there.
So this is where I think now people are going, this is overreaction.
Eye test.
So this is how great teams are supposed to look really good against average teams. Good teams are supposed to look really good against awful teams. I think this is a good team playing an awful team. You said you're King of Vibes. I know we're going to get to the other vibe piece of this, the Ian Saleh interaction. This didn't give me faith that this team will handle adversity well. It didn't mean they won't. I phrased that awkwardly. I still have concerns about how this team will handle adversity. I still have real concerns about when they are playing a team in their weight class from a talent perspective, how they will match up at all, and how the coaching schematics will help or hurt their team versus others. The thing that cannot be taken away is we now know definitively, post-Achilles, this is still in him.
Yes.
There was we don't know how consistently he could do it, but prior to last night, no one knew he actually still could do it. Right. That this version of Aaron still could be activated at certain times, which does make them on an any given Sunday type of basis dangerous.
Well, look, and they should be 4-1, or Minnesota will be,
they should
Minnesota's
be 3-1.
They should at least be 3-1, 3-2, or 4-1.
Yes.
When they start hitting the tougher part of the schedule. But yeah, and Rodgers has gotten better every week. So maybe I'm not saying he's going to throw for more yards necessarily, but mobility, he's probably going to get more and more comfortable over the next few weeks.
And let me just say one other name, Will McDonald. They took in the first round a year ago. He did nothing all of last year. They seemed concerned about who he was going to be. One of the reasons they brought in Reddick now also because they lost Brees to the Eagles. And Jermaine Johnson went out last week with an Achilles. Reddick's not there. Will McDonald has 5.5 sacks his last 2 games after doing nothing as a rookie. So that was a top 15. It's massive, and it's a guy that I think a lot of us were like, oh, did they miss on that pick? Maybe just a quiet rookie year. If he's an impactful player, that they have to have an impactful player off the edge. If he's that also helps them a lot.
Curious moment post-touchdown in Saleh, 1 part hug, 1 part playful push, 1 part friendly, 1 part awkward. Here's Saleh and Rodgers postgame.
Part of the things that we've been talking about is to just get the defense a 2-score lead, and it was a 2-score lead. So I guess he just wanted to see something on defense. So
he's not a big hugger usually, so I don't know he was going for the hug. He likes to do the 2-hand chest push as well. So, but he talks a lot about 2-score leads. So I just kind of gave him a push and said 2-score lead.
Okay, something or nothing.
I think it's something because it's another instance where I find myself feeling badly for Robert Saleh because of something Aaron Rodgers does. Like that was the 2-score lead thing. I guess
you saw he was saying you could read his lips. He was saying that. He did say 2-score lead. Like you.
Okay.
I felt like it was simple to read.
So in the moment.
2-score.
I thought he was saying too early.
I don't know.
I thought he was saying too early. And in the moment, I thought it was like, let's not sell, like, relax, buddy. It's early in the game. Whatever it is, it's odd. And I understand.